our introductions. Stephen Graham Jones is the New York Times bestselling author of 35 or so novels and collections, and there's some novellas and comic books in there as well. Most recent are Earth Divers, I Was a Teenage Slasher, and The Buffalo Hunter Hunter. Up before too long is True Believers, as well as some books that I am told are forthcoming that are not able to be announced quite yet. Stephen lives and teaches in Boulder, Colorado. Thank you so much for being here. Lorin is an obsessive reader of all genres, but her favorite stories have both horror and heart. She lives in Denver, Colorado, with her husband and 2 husky mixes, all of whom get sick of her talking about the plot of the book she's reading. Lorin is also known as at Paperback Fish, known on social media for her unhinged book photos and her Stephen Graham Jones themed manicures. Thank you both so much for being here, and welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so you know the first question already, right? Which one did you write upside down?
Yeah, I got to the end of, Babysitter is the one I wrote first. I guess you'll know this when you read the acknowledgments, not you, but everybody else. Well, you can know it too. But, oh wow, Audrey, she says ghosts. I'm just not noticing. I like that. I'm sorry. I wrote these 2 back to back, so it's really neat they're coming out back to back, like this. I didn't write them upside down from each other, actually, but I wrote, what happened was Ellen Datlow had asked me to write a novella for her, and I did, Mapping the Interior, and then that won some awards and did what it did, and she called me up and she said, hey, why don't you write another novella for me? And I figured, mapping took me 4 days. I got 4 days, and it was the summer, and so I sat down for 4 days, and I looked up 4 weeks later, and I'd written The Babysitter Lives, which was a screw up. It was supposed to be a novella, and it became a novel. Once it became a novel, that's how writers talk. And so then I was like, well, that sucks. And so I pushed it aside, and I thought I could just write like a single night long novel, and which is actually what Babysitter Lives is too. And then I sat down and wrote a novella, and it became Killer on the Road 4 weeks later, which was also not a novella. And so I said, all right, let's just, whatever happens this next time you try, stop at 115 pages. And so I did that. I wrote for 3 or 4 weeks, not even that long really, and I stopped at 115 pages. I found a natural kind of break point, and I was so happy. I figured, hey, I remembered how to write a novella. And then I accidentally, I did not want to do this, accidentally I thought of one more line that would turn into a novel. And I called my agent up and I said, hey, I wrote this thing. I can either give it to Datlow as a novella, or I can just open it up into a novel. And she didn't even blink or pause. She said, go ahead and turn it into a novel. Those are easier to sell. And that turned out to be The Only Good Indians. The first part I wrote was The House That Ran Red, the first part of The Only Good Indians. And so I finished that out about fast, and then I sat down to finally write the novella for Ellen Datlow, and I did it. I remembered how to write a novella, and I wrote Night of the Mannequins, and I got it done. And so I'm so happy to have finally remembered how to write a novella. But these are the first 2 to come out of that novella attempt, and they each went like 60,000 words, which is way too long for a novella. It's a short novel, But it's really cool they're coming out back to back, I think, because they're like both wildly different from each other, but they also share a lot, so it's nice to see them paired.
At 8.5 weeks, was Ellen like, where the heck is
I
my
know,
novella?
yeah. I think she had given me like some X amount of time, and she said there's no rush, and so no, she wasn't like knocking on my inbox. But I was keeping her apprised too. I kept telling her I screwed up again.
That sounds like our text message exchange today when you're like, I'm late again.
Yeah, well, I just had the heck of a time because I went to Chipotle. I got there at like 6:13, and I was supposed to be here at 6:15. So
To be fair, he texted me at 4:30 and said, I'm already late.
Yeah, I was working on the car, and yeah, things were going bad. But I thought surely I can eat 3 soft tacos while I drive across Boulder. But Turns out I can eat 2 soft tacos, and the third one explodes in my truck. And luckily, I just had white rice and chicken in it, and that's still quite a mess. And it all went like right into that slot where your emergency brake goes, you know? And I didn't want to go any deeper. And so I was trying to drive and balance tacos on my lap, and I had my knife out, and I'm trying to stab all the chicken up from there. I didn't get it all, but I got most of it.
That was so much better than I could have imagined. Okay, so something that I love about everything you write is that you're so successful at every length of narrative, like short stories, flash fiction even, starting there on up to like long novels, like The Buffalo Hunter is pretty long. And you just sort of alluded to it, that when you start writing, you're not necessarily sure how long it's going to be. Does that happen every time, or can you just like sit down and write a short story and do that?
I usually can write a short story. I've never had a short story turn into something longer, I don't think. I have had, as I say, novellas, or novella attempts to get out of control, but I've never had a flash fiction become a short story. Let me think. I did used to write shorter novels, but that's because for like probably 15 or 20 novels, once I hit the 40,000 word mark, I knew I was one word over the like award guidelines or thresholds for the novella, and I thought I must be in novel territory at 40,000 words. And so when I hit 40,000 words, I would start looking for the end, for an elegant, gesture, action, visual, line of dialogue, something to wrap it all up when it doesn't look like it's gonna wrap up, you know? And I'm doing that right now, actually. I'm writing a novel right now where I'm making myself not go long. And it's fun to work that muscle out, but it's not pleasant. I mean, it's fun, but I keep wanting to go like 140,000 words, you know, but I'm not letting myself do that this time. Right now, I think I'm 70,000 words in right now, and I'm telling myself, maybe I've got 30,000 words, and ideally I've got 15,000 words left, you know?
It's fun, but it's terrible. Steve
Yeah.
Jones' memoir, everyone. Okay, so it was like 2018 that you wrote these, I think? You said in the
2018.
acknowledgements that I definitely read. So it's been 7 years. I know Babysitter Lives came out on audio first, so obviously you can't really change anything about the text of that. Did you change anything in Killer before it went to print?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Monty, my editor of Saga, did go through it and asked me to do a few things, and I don't even remember what they were anymore. But it was pretty light, actually. Oh, yeah, he had me do something with a little sister, actually, with Meg. Harper has a little sister, Meg, and he said something wasn't quite working with her. I don't want to spoil anything, but something wasn't quite working with her, and I had to address that. And so I addressed that, and that was the only big change, actually. And I did actually change a few things in the Babysitter Lives text, because it was kind of optimized for audio, so we had to go through and change a few things.
I actually noticed a couple words different, yeah. Because I'm crazy. So I read the book and listen to the audio. Highly recommend. Maybe not with that one. It's slightly different, but any other book. Actually, the audio for Killer on the Road is amazing, and Isabella LeBlanc narrates both this one and Babysitter, so check it out. From our Buffalo Hunter event, many of you were there. You said when I asked the question, and I called it a cop-out at the time, that the sequel you most wanted to write would be to Killer on the Road. Is that still true?
Yeah, I think Killer on the Road, Killer on the Road is built to either be a really like propulsive trilogy or to open up into like a 17 episode Puppet Master franchise or something, you know?
Okay, 17 is quite a bit. Like Land Before Time area.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at it though. Once you get to the end, you will sort of understand why you need a second book to understand what happened. So, get excited. And I personally think this is a perfect road trip audiobook. Maybe not for everyone. Maybe not for your mom misses my horror or something like that. But I would love to go, and I don't know that this was the point, but I would love to go drive down 80 West and stop at all the places Harper stopped and look for, gore or something. But I know you have done this drive many times in your life. What is your go-to road trip snack when you stop?
Oh, my go-to road trip snack. It's usually what I try to bring on the road with me. Like I'm going on tour, like I leave for tour in a day or two to go all over everywhere, and I always bring a bag of pecans with me, of Texas pecans specifically. And when I go on road trips, I always try to bring Texas pecans too, because growing up, my grandparents lived way out of nowhere, but they had some pecan trees growing around their house, and so I associate going out and getting pecans off the ground and just eating them right there with like home and childhood and everything, you know? And so when I bring my pecans with me as dessert or snack, then I feel kind of like I'm home, you know? So it's pecans.
It's very like Bucky's color of you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love Buc-ee's.
I think we all love Bucky's.
Yeah.
Follow-up question.
Well, okay, I wasn't gonna say it. I'm actually wearing Buc-ee's boxers right now.
I can't wait to do another like wrong answers only interview with that particular clip. That would be very fun. A follow-up question, not to the boxers. Why do you hate barbecue chips so much?
I don't understand. Like, I'm not a big, I don't know, proponent. That's probably the wrong way to say it. Fan. Tolerator. I'm not a big tolerator of flavor. You know, like
It's true.
yeah, I don't like extra things. Like that's why my burritos are just like white rice and chicken. You know, that is all the taste I need, and I can do without the white rice.
I'm not kidding that you can call that a burrito, like legally.
Yeah.
But
I cannot imagine. Like one time in my life, I put a Dorito in my mouth, and that is one of the traumas.
I like the mustard.
I'm probably gonna gag. I was at Alamo Draft House with somebody once, and we all ordered our food, and we're having a good time watching, I don't know, Quentin Tarantino or whatever. And my friend said, "I want a fry," and I said, "Sure." So I reached over to his basket and got a fry and put it in my mouth. And unbeknownst to me, he had ordered sweet potato fries, and that's also a trauma.
You carry a lot of trauma.
It's mostly food
It is
related.
mostly related. What about Fritos? Like, for context, in the book, Harper is eating barbecue chips and just like hating every second of it, and then our bad guy is a big Fritos guy. So like, why did you want us to hate Fritos? Is really the question, I guess.
I mean, with your bad guys, they can't be all bad. They have to be endearing, have some good qualities. And I think liking Fritos is a good quality. That like is a mark of character.
Do you not dislike salt?
I don't love salt. I wish I could get low salt Fritos, but I'm always the guy at Burger King holding everything up in the drive-thru because I asked for my fries without salt, and they don't like doing that. And 99 times out of 100, they don't do that. And I'm driving away before I know it. But yeah, I don't like salt. If you ever see me in the airport and I've got a basket of fries and a burger, I'm the guy who takes each fry out and stands it up on a napkin and like gets all the salt off and then eats it. You know?
So I think that might be fucking On's only sort of endearing quality.
Yeah, let me think. He's a good driver.
I don't. Okay. Sure. I mean, that's endearing to you, yeah, for sure. Okay, all right. This might come as blasphemy to a couple of you in the crowd I see with Jade Daniels shirts on, and you wrote this before, Jade, and I personally, don't yell, everyone, Harper is my favorite of your final girls. Calm down. But I think they're very similar, but also different. So in your mind, are they either one, or are they just sort of like separate from each other, completely different characters, or you kind of morph?
I think, like with Demon Theory, I did a character, Nona, and I thought she was the last character who knows horror I'd ever do. And then suddenly I did Izzy in Last Final Girl, and I thought, well, I'm done with that. And then suddenly here comes Harper, and then there comes Jade. I see them all as like little instances on like a timeline or a ruler or something. So, but I think that because I had written Harper by the time I wrote Jade, that's why Jade's father turned out to be malignant. It's because I wanted to make her not have the same situation as Harper had. And Harper has a different situation in this book than Jade had. So if I hadn't done Harper, Jade would not have turned out like she does.
Solid. I also do really like Izzy. I need to reread Last Final Girl. All right, so reading this, you will see there's a lot of trucker culture, which is fun. Have you been hazed by truckers before? Because it sure seems like it.
No, I haven't. I don't think I have. I mean, I've nearly missed and probably hit with my bumper. You know, the Gatorade pee bottles
That's
I
my
put out
next
the window.
question.
Yeah, but I've never had them get particularly mad at me. It's because I've always had a really keen awareness of how big they are. You know, and they're not the people you want to make mad. I've really had that awareness since I was maybe 8 or 9. I'm a little kid in the back of my family's big Buick, and we're down around Austin going on 35, and it's crazy traffic, and there's a guy on a motorcycle just zooming everywhere, just taking every little wedge he can get of space. And my stepdad was driving, and he said back to us, he said, that motorcycle guy's gonna get himself killed. And I was like, really? And so I got up in the back seat on my knees, and I looked back at that motorcyclist, and sure enough, he laid it over in front of a rig, and that rig just went right over it, you know? And yeah, and so I knew from that age that you don't mess with truckers, you know?
That explains a lot, actually. Many areas. What about hitchhiking? Have you hitchhiked or
Yeah,
anyone else?
yeah. Growing up in West Texas with all my junky trucks, I was always hitching a ride forever and ever. Yeah, I've caught rides with everybody. Yeah.
Do you have any sketchy stories?
One of them I wrote about in Leading to Me in that story called Discovering America. That's probably the sketchiest. One of my uncles was hitching once because we didn't hitch. We'd all hitch because our trucks always broke down. And we'd have to get somewhere like 20 miles away. And he was walking the ditch, and he started finding Polaroids. And he started picking them up and looking at them, and they kind of told a story, and it was a woman who had been abducted and gagged and killed and everything. And he turned them into police. And so his stories are much terribler than mine as far as hitchhiking goes.
That explains the Polaroid moment in this book too. It's not that bad, guys. Don't worry. It's not great, I guess. Thank you. All right. Can you talk about a little bit, and this is touched on in your acknowledgements too, the research you did for John on the Road? Because you said it was intense.
It was, yeah. Like this one in Buffalo Hunter are probably the books I've had to research the most because I needed to get all the trucker stuff right. Not necessarily the lingo. Anybody can look up the lingo. There's all kinds of dictionaries and stuff online. But just the simple, where does this line go from a tractor to a trailer, that kind of stuff. You know, I had to get as good as I could. Tell you the truth, I'm nervous about a trucker reading this, and number one, thinking, why does he malign us so? But number two, like calling me out in his head or her head anyways, because I got some little detail about how like the electrical system on a trailer works or something, you know. Hopefully I got it right. I can't guarantee I did. I tried though.
And did you set this in 1995, or was the Pocahontas not? Okay, so yeah.
It was 95. Yeah, it was. And it was also there's Pocahontas which is in it, and there's also Natural Born Killers.
Oh
That
yeah.
was the year previous.
I picked up on Pocahontas first. Did you do that on purpose for any reason? Just no cell phones?
It wasn't to avoid cell phones. I know a lot of horror sets things before the cell phone era because cell phones can make it tricky to isolate your characters. But I've never subscribed to that. I'm like, I figured just set it whenever you want to. What I really wanted was for the CB era to still be alive and happening. You know, I think cell phones have, as far as trucking goes, it seems to me like a lot of truckers Bluetooth into their cell phones and speak to various people that way. It's not the same as a citizen band, but it's something. You know, I think it's infringed, and I wanted the CB culture to still be happening. So that's why I set what it said.
Yeah, there's a CB scene that broke me a little bit. So thanks for that.
I did, but luckily I had a lot of CB knowledge in my head because when I wrote All the Beautiful Sinners, I had to learn CB talk and ham radio stuff inside out, which that was actually a lot of research too. I forgot about that.
Blacked it out.
Yeah.
Are all of the rest stops that you mentioned in here actual rest stops on 80?
They are. Wagonhound is the windiest of them. Yeah, they had call, truck stop, or travel center, right, in Little America, all that stuff. Yeah.
I mean, so if anyone's down for a road trip, I'm like ready. So you just let me. It'll have to be at night though.
It'll be like the Savannah, like the Midnight in the Garden of Evil tour. You know.
Hopefully not quite like that. I am staying at the Stanley this month, and I booked a haunted room, so that'll be fun too. Okay,
The one on the third floor.
Yeah, the third floor, the one that's
Yeah.
yeah. It's gonna be great.
Yes, I've stayed in that one before.
You would. Okay, I'm gonna switch gears a little bit.
Yep.
Get it? Switch gears. Nothing too nice. To Babysitter, which again has been like out for a while, so you may have listened to it, but I do think reading it is a different experience. I actually liked it better in print because it's a wacky book. Like, what? That's really my question about Babysitter is where did that come from?
I mean, I love haunted houses. I think I will write more haunted house stuff too. But I don't like that kind of haunted house, which is like, ooh, there's a ghost up in the parlor, and when we go to sleep, she rattles chains and all that. Like that, those like Hell House. Richard Matheson's Hell House kind of, it was good for its time, but it kind of annoys me. You know, it's not the kind of haunted house I like. I do like The Shining a lot. And of course, Haunting in Hill House, but I really like stuff like Solaris. I consider Solaris to be a haunted house novel too. You know, even though it's set on the planet is a haunted house and it's space and the future and all that stuff. But so The Babysitter Lives, I wanted to do what Bingley Little did in The House, where his haunted house is kind of like at an interdimensional nexus or time thing. It's really complicated and hard to figure out, but pretty dang scary. But Bingley Little had done it already, so what could I do? Turned out what I thought was a fun angle into the haunted house was, what if the haunted house kind of conformed to animism, such that everything is imbued with life and is malleable. And so that's what I did. And there's a lot of things in here that have I don't know, personhood or sentience or something, you know, that surprised me. I didn't know what was gonna happen, you know.
Did you ever babysit?
No, I was actually I'm not qualified to be a babysitter. I remember we're being recorded. I better not tell this story. I'll tell a different story. I remember my lab partner in 10th grade. I was a sophomore, she was a junior, but we were like 2 months apart, you know, one of those things. We were really close in age. And I think I dated her for a while too. But we were doing some experiment or faking an experiment one day or something. And she said, oh yeah, do you remember when I used to babysit you? I was like, what? And yeah, it turns out that, so when we were like 4, she was responsible enough to babysit me, who was the same age, you know? And that was kind of like belittling or something, I don't know. But, and so I feel like that disqualified me for life from ever being a babysitter, you know?
Yeah, that all makes sense, actually. So Charlotte she just wants to study for the SATs, which I'm really to, and it goes horribly wrong, but I don't think she ever gets to study, actually.
No, she doesn't. No, but the reason she doesn't get to study is not because I thought that'd be boring. It's because I never studied for the SATs.
Well, I was gonna have you tell the SAT story next.
Oh, SAT story. Yeah, I never planned to take the SATs. I never planned to go to college. I just planned to lease a tractor and drive tractor for my whole life. That was what I was gonna do. And so I didn't graduate high school. But it turned out, I found out that a girl I wanted to ask out, her mother's car, which she drove like her car, but she could, was broken down. And I had a truck, and she had plans for her life, so she was taking SATs. And so I ran down to the SAT store and signed up to take the SATs. And then I managed where I was behind her in line at, I don't know, corn dog on a stick or an Orange Julius or something in the mall. And I said, hey, you're taking SATs. I am too. Isn't that wild? And so I asked her if I could give her a ride, and I could. And we dated for like 6 months, and it was great. And I took the SATs, and I did good enough on them to end up getting in college, which I never planned to go to, like I say. But yeah, so I never studied for the SATs. Although what's wild to me is I keep getting messages from parents of kids who are now taking the PSATs, and evidently I'm a question on the PSATs now, which is wild. I never thought
That's
that would
weird,
happen.
yeah. Especially with all the stories we've heard tonight.
Yeah. I probably get it wrong.
I never want to hear the other babysitter story now. Did you base Charlotte on that girl?
No, Charlotte's not based on her. Who is Charlotte based on? Let me think. I don't know if she's based on any particular person at all, to tell you the truth. I've never known anybody named Charlotte, actually. But I don't have to know somebody to base a character on. I have to know somebody's name. But I don't know who I based Harper on either, so I don't know.
I lived in Charlotte, was I know?
Oh, that's cool. Charlotte, is that West Virginia?
No.
Virginia? South Carolina? North Carolina?
Yes. I thought you were going to say South Virginia, like the Always Sunny bit. Yeah, big southern guy.
Yeah.
Clearly you've never done a tour there. Well, even if you do, you probably don't know where you are.
Yeah.
I've lost my place entirely, so that's good. Okay, so actually, different question. You said before that I think it was Bird is Gone and Leadfeather kind of broke your brain and you would never do another book like that. And I feel like Babysitter is a little twisty like that,
Yeah.
and maybe even like mapping the interior to a degree.
You're right. Both of those are kind of like the story doesn't tell a straight line. There's lots of like loops and weirdness and twists in there, like a Mobius strip or something. Not to say it's like cool. It's just like I just did that. But no, they were not as hard as Leadfeather or Bird. Leadfeather is the hardest novel I've ever written. Yeah, it's the hardest novel I've ever written. But actually, the novel I'm writing right now is rivaling Leadfeather for what it's doing. It's weird.
I'm stoked about that. Is that the possession one?
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, maybe. Okay, so you can't really talk about your current work in progress. Can you say if it features a male or female main character?
Main character is male.
I just think you write women so well, and it's weird to me. Because if you had told me a few years ago that my favorite author would be a man, I would have laughed in your face. Laughed in your face. But you just do them so well. And I know I ask you that question all the time, so I won't.
But you do know this character's name already. I can say that.
I mean, I know that, but they don't know that. Okay, and one more question, and then I'm going to switch to my mean tweets segment, which is what Sadie, aka Mother Horror, has nicknamed it. But I do think, as far as similarities between these books, you did say there are a lot, and you do have Number One Night, and they're absolutely just about the same length in general. But I think both of the final girls in these books are super protective of either like the younger people in their care, so Meg for Harper and the twins for Charlotte. And were you trying to pull a specific thread when you were writing that novella, or did that just kind of happen by coincidence?
Yeah, that's a good question. I hadn't thought of that. I think it just happened. I wasn't necessarily trying to do anything intentional anyways. But when a horror story happens in one night, it's almost necessarily going to be survival horror. And when it's survival horror, you need a fighter. And when you have a fighter, if the fighter is only trying to protect himself, then they're not heroic. You know. So I think that's why there's a series of steps that get us there.
That makes actually a lot of sense. And the fact that they're women tends to mean that way anyway, because, you know. Alright, so I'm going to read Steven some 1-star reviews of his books. And we'll see how tough he is.
That's cool. I like you call it mean tweets. Like when I'm between things, like when I'm on a call with Hollywood and they say we're going to push it 10 minutes. And they don't even ask, they just tell
Do
you.
you see how casually he dropped that? When I'm on a call with Hollywood.
I always download YouTube and I look at all the I love watching celebrity mean tweets and NBA player mean tweets. I've watched every single one of them, but I watched them over and over and over again.
They're hilarious.
Yeah.
These are not super personal. Like theirs are like personal attacks on their character.
Yeah.
I try not to do any of those. Honestly, some of these you're going to take as compliments. So I'm just going to read some and we'll see where they go. The first one that caught my eye and actually cascaded this whole little segment is on Buffalo Hunter. I don't remember what all of these are on, but it's just 1 star and it said, extreme violence, vampire story, not recommended. Like, yes. Did you read the synopsis? Maybe not. One I already told you was this horror or a basketball book? I mean, at the end there, good Indians get a little basketball-y, and that's fine. We love that. This one is the one I think Ring would like. 1 star. Not even an elk on the cover of the book. This is not. It's caribou. Anyway.
It's a Photoshop caribou.
It's Photoshop. Look really closely now. This one just says, I liked the first page. I'm not, I don't know what the first page is, if that's like the copyright or like the dedication. Oh no. This one says, too much pee, not enough mannequins.
I thought Too Much Pee was going to be Flush Boy, but it must be not anything.
That person has not read Flush Boy. There's no way.
There's an ocean of pee in Flush Boy.
Literally They're like swimming in it.
They're diving, they're scuba diving in urine.
Yeah, in like a, don't read that if you're sensitive to that. It's a lot.
But you won't know you're sensitive to that until you read it.
Actually, I'm pretty sure I went into that one not sensitive to it, and now I'm like scarred, like you with food. This one was, and maybe try to guess the book actually. Petty political commentary about illegal immigrants.
Is that Del Rio?
No, that would have been my guess as well.
I don't know. Seven Spanish Angels?
Mongrels.
Wow. That's, I mean, if that's about anything, it's about Indians. And
That's yes.
we're not immigrants.
That is exactly the point. That's why it's on this list. Also, the fact that she called you petty is funny. Also, a Mongrels one. Not a werewolf fan.
Wow.
There's literally a werewolf on the cover.
Yeah.
I guess it's technically just a wolf, so maybe they're a wolf fan. I can't remember which book this was, but I think it's either Zombie Bake Off or Del Rio. It says too much parody to even be funny.
Probably Zombie Bake Off.
I think it was Zombie Bake Off. The Del Rio one had surprisingly few one-star reviews because that one is wild, y'all. If you haven't read it, it's one of my favorites. I have a couple in here, but this one is going to be my epitaph. Just a woman whining about prairie dogs.
Wow, is that Backbone of the World?
Yeah.
Okay.
Also, I said this last time, but if you read Backbone of the World on audio with Audible, you have to read the print version. Just go read the print acknowledgments because like they made the book so much better. And I cried a lot. This one was Del Rio. The same literary value as Sharknado.
Oh, that is a compliment. I like that.
I knew that was gonna be one. There's another one here that I think you'll like. And this was the other Del Rio. First half, 5 stars. Second half, just skip it. Which is crazy.
It's wild. Wow.
Because that's Lori's half.
Yeah, for sure.
Wild.
It's
Don't
wild.
skip the second half, okay? It's kind of important. I don't remember which book this was, but it could be literally any of them. Not recommended for animal lovers. And then another one just says, I regret not quitting.
Oh, that's fun.
For the record, I did not look up any one-star reviews of I Was a Teenage Slasher because I personally cannot handle those. I will just respond to everyone and take up way too much of my time because they're just objectively wrong. Sorry. This one was closer. I think this was the last final girl. Very clearly a love letter to slasher movies. And I was like, oh, this is good. And it says, I do not love slasher movies. Again, very confusing book to pick up if that's the case. And this one I told to someone beforehand. I had to read it for school, so I went into it with a bad attitude. Maybe she was in Billy's class. I don't know. It was Leadfeather, so it's possible. A couple more. About halfway through, I decided that between me and the author, at least one of us was tripping, and it wasn't me.
It's also for any of them, probably.
Yeah, I don't remember that one either. This one I think you'll take as a compliment, and then I have 2 selling points for our little flip book here. The grammar is atrocious. There is no reason for a paragraph to contain 7, I counted, commas. I truly believe most of the word count came from commas alone. Do you have a comma count?
No, I don't. I guess I could count the commas, but no, I've never done that. But I think I put the right amount of commas.
I think your commas are critical, to be honest. Like, they make the cadence of the line the way that you speak.
Exactly, and I have like a lot of throwdowns with copy editors because I think there's different flavors of to and no. Some of them require a comma, some of them don't require a comma, and copy editors want me to be consistent, but I want to be good. So it's like we have battles, you know.
There's like the slash and buffalo under the long
The
end dash.
long end dash.
Yeah. Did you hear the like debate recently that that things are considered AI because they have M dashes?
I heard that, yeah.
Just crazy.
That was crazy.
You read a book? Okay. Yeah, you're in trouble. All your work is AI.
Yeah.
Killer on the Road, our selling review for that is trucker culture was a weird twist.
That's fun.
Which I
I
liked.
like that.
But yeah, and then finally we have The Babysitter Lives. Oh man, that one. What in the Coraline, other mother, other house, spider's web, lasagna obsessed, stuffing blood, brass dog, haunted house was this? And honestly, if that doesn't convince you to read it, I don't think anything will, because it's a dead on, right?
That's nice. They should have added in, what is Josh Malerman's demon?
Yeah.
What's that called?
It's Other Mommy,
Other
so
Mommy,
it's
yeah.
pretty much the same.
Yeah, they
Other
should have
Mother.
used that too.
I don't think that one was out at the time,
Oh,
but
okay.
it was just an old review, but still.
Yeah. You know, I saw a review once. I don't know if it was one of my stuff or one of my friends' stuff, but it was 1 star. I didn't even order this book. You know?
That's especially cruel. Someone actually rated one of these, I think it was Babysitter Lives, 1.5 stars because she only got the Babysitter Lives in the e-arc from Saga, and I was like, well, that's mean. Because she said that she took points off for that, and I was like, actually, like, it's fixed now. And then, like, responded all helpfully. I was like, don't do that, that's mean.
Well, thank you.
Anyway, yeah, I don't respond to all of them because it's scary. I do that in like therapy, you know, when you like write something and then you throw it away. It's like that. But okay, I do want to switch to audience questions because I have talked for a very long time. Is there anything else you want to throw in there before you?
No, I guess the one thing I can throw in is Babysitter Lives went through a lot of titles before it ended up being Babysitter Lives. My initial title for it was The Night Before Halloween, and then it was The Lizard with the Glass Throat, and then there was 1 or 2 more, and then it finally became the Babysitter Lives, which I like the Babysitter Lives. Well, I can't tell you why I like it, but because I don't want to spoil the book for you, but I like it. But I also miss The Night Before Halloween, I guess. You know?
There was no like lasagna iteration in there.
No, there wasn't any lasagna. I only had one good lasagna in my life.
How can you eat lasagna?
Well, this was like 30 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my little cousin made it. It was really good, but now she lives far away.
Oh, all right, audience questions. Who's got one?
Do you have a favorite horror movie novelization, and do you have a movie that you would love to write the novelization for?
I've been invited or solicited to write a lot of novelizations for like the big ones, you know. And I haven't done it yet. I always want to, but we never can find room in my publishing schedule for a tie-in novel or a novelization. That's the big issue we have. Many years ago, I did get approached. Jeffrey Reddick and I used to always be at the same times, and he gave me the original script for Final Destination. He said, "Let's do this and let you novelize it." So I novelized the first chapter or two, and it was of his original script, not the way it is on screen. And it was so much fun. It was endless fun. I loved it so much. And then the deal fell apart, so I never got to finish that novel. But I still wish I could just publish that chapter or two. Anyways, as for my favorite novelization, it's probably, I can't tell you the number actually. It's one of the Friday the 13th though. I used to read all those in late elementary and junior high. I would read all the Friday the 13th novelizations, and one of them, Jason Voorhees, I think he's the little kid. I think he sticks one of his friend's hands into the garbage disposal, and I read that scene over and over and over because it was so terrible. I loved it. It could have been his own hand. It's been like 40, 50 years, but not 50, but 40 anyways. And there's another part of your question. Which one would I like to?
Yeah, which one would you like to write?
If I could do a novelization of any horror property, like an existing film, not like a tie-in. Let me think. I think I could do Happy Death Day pretty good, actually. Time travel and horror, I could do that.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a lot of your books.
Yeah.
Also, you are writing books so fast that now they have to like smush 2 together in one book. So like 2026, are we gonna have like 3 in one? Like,
I know. Hopefully, yeah.
But like, yeah, you say that now, but it's very early. Okay, still got yours.
Well, it's a little personal.
I saw her at Chicago earlier in the week.
Oh,
Well,
delicious.
now that we know that you don't love flavor, now
Yeah.
I'm being nosy and want to know what's real good.
At Takami, when I saw you there the other day, I got wild rice, chicken, lettuce. I didn't want the lettuce, but I was getting a lot of pressure, you know. And then a really light spattering of that chipotle sauce. But it's called chipotle sauce, but it's like different, you know. I don't know, but Yeah, so I've actually my Takabi order is really just fry bread. That's really what I'm there for, actually. And also, that's the only place I've found where I can buy evergreen elderberry soda, Coke, whatever you call it. And that's the best stuff. My daughter told me she found a place in Denver, a chicken place that has it in the fountain, but she can't remember the name of it. So I'm gonna try every Denver chicken place in Denver. I don't know how I'm ever gonna figure that out. But
Bird call.
bird call? Really? Oh, nice.
Billy coming in clutch.
Nice, thank you, Billy. It's good to know. But recently, one of the last times I was at Takabi, I got a little water glass and filled it with ice and poured my evergreen elderberry into it, and I freaked out because it was clear. I had no idea I was drinking it like a Sprite colored drink. You know, I thought it was like a normal colored Coke, just something different about it. I don't know what, but it took a lot of like reconciliation in my head to finish that meal. You know.
Do you feel any differently about it now?
I do. I'm a little more suspicious. Yeah. Like usually I buy 2 or 3 of them when I'm there, but now I just get one and make it last. Yeah.
Also, you know Chipotle is a pepper, right? Not just a place.
No, I did not know this. But I do wish that in my rice, my white rice, there weren't those little green pieces or whatever. I don't know what it is.
Oh, at Chipotle, that's probably cilantro, I assume.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. But I'd be totally happy with just normal white rice.
Yeah, when some places they have Chipotle sauce, it's a pepper sauce, not
Really?
from Chipotle.
That's why I didn't like it at Takabi. Man, I thought Chipotle meant quality, right?
Oh man. Tough act to follow.
What do you teach at CU? And do you have any thoughts about writing a book with a university setting?
Yeah, a few years ago I wrote a book with a university setting called American Neanderthal, and it was set right here on CU campus. And I can read, like right now I'm reading a paleoanthropology book. I read more paleoanthropology than I read anything else, probably. And nobody would publish that book, probably because I'm not a science thriller writer, because I'm a horror writer. Maybe I'll get it published someday. To tell you the truth, I need to break that novel down and build it back up in a different way. I think I figured out how to do it. But yeah, I'm not against writing a campus novel. I just actually signed on to an anthology to do a dark academia story, which I just only learned this semester was a genre. I had no idea. I'll try to do that. And but I'd love to do like a secret history or something. But who can do secret history? That's such an amazing book. I couldn't do that. I wish I could. I can do zombies and stuff, but I don't know about secret history.
To be fair, I think dark academia has only been a genre for like a year.
Oh, that's good.
That's like well known.
All right. Well, I make my students. Oh, you asked what I teach.
Yeah.
I teach fiction workshops, intermediate, advanced, and graduate, and I teach a studies in course at the graduate level. I just did a vampire course, a possession course, a found footage fiction course. I've done young adult, western, all kinds of stuff. And also I just did I proposed a new course that got accepted, 2666, after Robert Bayano, however you say his name, and it's a monsters course where I talk about. My idea was to talk about every monster. It turns out I only had time for 4 monsters because I had way too much to say about werewolves that took like so much of the semester. So I did this last semester. It was a big lecture course in a big auditorium. I did vampires, werewolves, zombies, and kaiju, and that took us through 16 weeks. That was so much fun, and I finally started to understand the kaiju. That's why I teach, is to understand things, And to me, kaiju had never made sense until I had to explain it to a room full of 100 or 150 people. And then I finally started to understand it a little bit.
What I'm wondering is, you teach, you do research, you write. How do you do it all?
Yeah, also, really my main occupation is riding my mountain bike. That's what I do most of my life.
And haunting Chipotle.
Yeah, I don't have Chipotle quite regularly. Actually, one of my students used to work at Chipotle, and that was in the pocket of life, man. That was the place to be. But yeah, I don't know. I'm also watching Stick. That takes up some of my time. I don't know. I just do stuff. I don't know. People ask me how to balance time, and I don't have any idea. I just do a lot of stuff. I never figured it out.
So a lot of people talk about your final girls, but I think you do a really great job of writing sympathetic narrators who are unreliable, who are male. Who's your favorite male character?
Oh, my favorite male character I've written. He's not a narrator. but Darren from Mongrel is my favorite guy I've written, I think. As far as my favorite male narrator, LP Deal from Bird is Gone. But that's a weird narration situation because he is pretending to be Chassie Jones, an FBI agent, and he's kind of telling the story from her perspective. So that's why that novel messed with my head so much, because I was having to write a woman insofar as this guy who was 18 years old and had never had a girlfriend would know a woman, and that was really weird to do,
I actually saw someone negatively review that book because they said she was poorly written. And I was like, oh, baby. I think you missed the point there.
Yeah.
I did not include that one in the 1 stars, but I was just gonna say, let me.
Do you judge books more by their cover or by their titles, or maybe it's equal to both? And has there been a book that you bought purely off its title or its cover or both that you wound up loving has become one of your favorites of all time, and you had no prior knowledge of it?
Oh wow, yeah, that's a good question. Let me think. Yeah, just recently. This is my story collection of the year so far, actually. And I bought it because I thought the title was too simple, and I thought I could read 10 pages of this and not read any more, and done my due diligence, But I fell into it, and I loved it. It's Crossroads at Midnight. It's 4 or 5. It's a comic book. It's 4 or 5 horror stories, and each of those horror stories is really good. And the woman who writes it, I cannot remember her name right now. She writes it and draws it. She's a really capable cartoonist. That's what I so appreciate when I read a comic book is someone. I don't care about realistic superheroes and all that. I care about somebody who understands the grammar and the syntax of cartooning. And Crossroads at Midnight, that woman completely understands it.
Abby Howard.
Abby Howard, thank you. Have you all read that? Crossroads at Midnight? It's super good. Super good. But no, do I judge a book? You said do I judge it by its cover or the title? Between those two, I would choose the title because, 3 times out of 5, the author picks the title. But there's like amazing titles, like Carson McCullers' The Heart is a Lonely Hunter. That's the best title in the world, I think. But what I really judge a book by is the first page. If I'm not hooked by the first page, then I'm probably going to drop that book. I need to be hooked by the writing, by the character, the situation, the scene, the brazenness of starting right here instead of all the other logical places to start. Something has to hook me and make me incapable of setting this book back down.
Wait, were you that 1-star reviewer that said I liked the first page? I get on Goodreads and I'm looking at my feed and I see Stephen Jones, which is weird to see without Graham, by the way.
No, it's
Stephen
weird.
Jones gave 4 stars to the Buffalo Hunter, and I said, what?
I downloaded the Goodreads app and I don't know how it works. And I go in there and like 6 things are happening and I don't understand any of them. And so I haven't opened it for a long time.
You fixed it though. I texted him and was like,
Yeah.
you can't, that's illegal. You
It
can't
took
do
me
that.
like half the afternoon to figure out how to fix it because I did not know that site. It was a confusing site.